Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another round of GPVWC Sim Racing. My name is Matthew Chuggy Churgwin, and joining me in commentary tonight for round 12 of the 2015 VB Motorsport GPVWC Formula Challenge World Championship is Mr. Philip Morby. Say good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
And joining us on cameras for this round of Formula Challenge will be Mr. Cameron Brewster, and we are very privileged to bring you round 12, which will be the Italian Grand Prix from Monza. So welcome to the final European race of this 2015 season for Formula Challenge, and we are coming from the legendary Autodromo Nazionale at Monza. Set in the Royal Villa Park of Monza, this cathedral of speed has hosted motor racing for over 100 years, with previous iterations of the circuit utilising the racecourse we use today, as well as the historic Banks Oval, which you'll see in various shots during this evening. And the lap distance with the two courses combined was over 10 kilometres. Today's 5.7 kilometre layout is the fastest which we will visit of any of the courses on the calendar, with multiple flat-out sections split apart with chicanes and deceptively testing bends, which can and will catch out our drivers. And we have the gravel traps on the exit of a few corners as well, like real life. The weather tonight is looking fair, which is a very different tale to how it was last year, where mixed conditions helped Petter Burlak secure crucial championship points. Can Eric Strachan, our current championship leader, do the same tonight, Philip? Well, we are in a interesting position as our championship leader is not currently on pole, but he's definitely in the hunt.
He's definitely in the hunt up there in third place, and importantly, it's his teammate in second, and only Lars Brugman currently on pole by a whole 3/10. Ice Cold doing really well in the constructors, getting their team up in second and third. Mad Cape of Lars in first, and our Genus Vieira, I think he was a new driver this evening, is down in 12th at the moment.
Indeed. So drivers putting in lap times. We are in qualifying and we have 5 minutes to go. Drivers circulating round now. Objective to set the fastest possible time they can in these Formula car. And of course, this being a very fast circuit, the setup choice in terms of how you set the car up is going to be pretty common all round. It's going to be low downforce, maximum top speed, as little drag as possible. And in a way, that's going to bring what already was a very close field even closer together. Less focus on downforce and less setup options really to explore to stay competitive here. I think we're going to have a particularly close field. And just casting our eye on the 38 car grid we have right now, whole field is just split by just over 3 seconds, which is exceptional. Very close this evening between everyone. And our top 10 is split by just a second as well. So very, very, very close. With plenty of quick drivers making their way around, trying to improve their lap times. So just seeing if there's anyone we could perhaps even ride on board with.
I was going to say, so he's just coming around to start a lap. Matthew Allington, he's currently actually bottom of our grid, so he'll be car number 39, although he looks like he's backing out to get some space. So he hasn't done a lap yet, so we usually have a grid of 40 drivers, but we've got 39 this evening, so just missing the one, which is a good call on this 3.6 mile circuit. We're going to have a go as he comes around the final corner. We are now on board with Matthew Allington as he goes through Parabolica with our extra gravel as we wanted. It's a fast straight here, usually not nearly hitting 180 miles an hour down this long back straight. It's I think one of the longest rundowns to turn 1 as we turns 1 and 2. We've got a bit of traffic on our right, that's fine. Find your braking point, hard on the brakes, don't go too deep in there. Round the right, round the left, you need a good exit here for the Curva Grande. He's got Tim Straub just ahead of him, hopefully get a nice slipstream. He's a little bit too far ahead. So into this long turn 3, and some good opportunities for overtaking either here or down into the braking point of turn 4, just after the bridge, heavy on the brakes. There we go, nicely done. He's going to hit these two curves nice and easy, not like Tim's done there, gone a little bit wide. We get a nice slipstream now. Is Tim going to pull out of our way? He is still on a lap. As we go through the two Lesmos, the first here is a late apex, which Matthew went in a little bit too early, but he's still behind Tim. He's going to get a nice slipstream here out of the second Lesmo, turn 7, as we go a long run down towards Ascari, beautifully named corners, and of 8, 9 and 10. Underneath this bridge, then you're looking on the right hand side for your marker points, just after this little advertisement board. Brake late, throw it into the first, don't go too deep as you'll mess up the exit of turn 10. A little bit of gravel there on the right. We've got Tamu Cabrera. Looks like he's got a puncher, I'd say, or a lot of smoke coming out of his car, which is a slight worry. As we go down to the final corner, turn 11, Parabolica. It's the big one. Tim's coming back at us, which is a little bit off-putting. He's going to dive down the inside. It's going to mess Matthew up a little bit. Is he going to duck back underneath? Yes, he is. Nicely done. But he's going to miss out on the slipstream he could do with getting. But no, he's kind of got too much of an overlap. And that is a lap of Monza. And that puts him from 39th on the grid up to 32nd. 2.3 seconds off our pole sitter, Lars Bugman.
Just unfortunately a little bit compromised there. Always tricky when you're trying to set a qualifying time and you just got a little bit more pace in the car ahead and you kind of trip over each other. So I'm sure if he wanted to do another lap, although he has now escaped back to the pit lane, so that's all he'll be doing. He could have gone a bit quicker there, I'm sure. So but there we go. I just see a few cars leaving the pit lane while we're riding on board there with Allington. Not a great deal of movement actually in the top 10, surprisingly enough. Drivers to call out. Riera for Mad Cape, he has got himself up to P8. And we've got Edward Batala as well, getting himself up to P10 for Viking. So a little movement there. Our top three have remained unchanged, and it has to be said, I've been keeping an eye on the practice times throughout the last few weeks. Lars Brugman has been imperious. Always had a little bit extra in hand, and well, he currently has pole position by 0.3 of a second, which around this track and these cars is quite the margin. I think probably one of the biggest margins we've seen all year. So
he's not even out the pits.
I think he's done his lap. He's pleased with that, and he's now having to wait and see who's going to do anything. In fact, actually, the timers are passed in such a way that he actually won't be able to set a lap. So that's him sorted. So I have to keep an eye on the other drivers, of course. Slipstreaming I expected to be a bit of a factor, as in drivers working together, trying to pull out another few tenths of a second, which can move you up the grid radically here. But not so much as a factor. I'm just looking for close cars together. I think that may be Zupenik. He is in P9 right now, leading a little train of cars. Just trying to catch an eye on who's in this group. We've got Niels Brugman and Jeffrey Fournier there, all in a group. We'll have Fournier here, just trying to catch where he is currently on the grid. He's currently 18th, and he'll be getting a lovely tow off the back of Brugman. He's not too far away, but he's going to start tripping over the car ahead, but he's definitely going to be gaining a little bit of advantage. So just keep an eye on how he does with this advantage, as the final few seconds are now ticking over. Our qualifying session is now complete. Drivers who are on a lap may complete it, but otherwise this will be the final laps we're seeing. Eric Strawn just crossing the start-finish line now. He does not improve, so he stays P3 at the moment. There's McGlade just ahead of him. He's currently in P5. With Rilankovic, after a really good showing last time out in Spa, we'll get to that in just a moment. He was in P4. He's just been displaced by Tobias Olsen for Bastovic. He's just got himself up to P4, so cracking lap there, right at the death. That's put him on the second row as it stands right now.
Sven Dirks has gone from last on the grid up to 25th. He was, I think, the first one to cross the finish line. So we originally had both Dogecoins at the back of the grid, but nice effort there from Sven to go 1.5 seconds off pole, and he's only a tenth off, another 4 or 5 places. That's how close we are at the moment. The whole grid covered by just under 2.7 seconds, around a 97-second lap.
Indeed. So Fournier, who called out a little bit earlier, he didn't improve on that one, but we've got the train of cars which are all slipstreaming one another, all close together, coming across the line, and now we are literally just waiting for the final few cars to cross the line. So everyone, a good group of cars here, rounding Parabolica, very tricky corner. Very easy to carry a bit too much speed in, and then you're compromised on the exit, which of course compromises you even more on the start-finish straight. But everyone, by the looks of it, navigating that one, crossing the line. Not seeing any improvement from anyone at this point. Track temperature, keeping an eye on that. Of course, the climatic conditions having an effect. 41 degrees, so a particularly hot track here today. So it may be a case of get your laps in early while the track's a little cooler, and you'll get a bit more grip, in fact, from the tyre. Just keeping an eye now on Rolankovic. He's in 5th place, having just been disposed by Olsen. Let's see what he can do. No, he's coming into the pit lane. So, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, that is it. And it is indeed. So, Lars Brugman for Mad Cape, he'll be on pole position with 0.3 of a second gap between himself and Jesper Nielsen for Ice Cold. Eric Strawn rounding out the top 3 in P3.
Yeah, it's Tobias Olsen for Bastovic Grand Prix. Antonio Raljovic for Drake in 5th. McGlade's done a good effort there, up in 6th place. And it's Tom, we should get this right now, Mackay, not McKay like it's pronounced, or McKee like we pronounced it a fortnight ago. So apologies for that. We just need to get to McCo and McCoo. We've got all the fouls there. But yeah, good effort. Like I said, only 2.682 seconds separating the whole grid.
There we go. A close qualifying session. which we will now make our way from to a 5-minute warm-up. Of course, drivers in qualifying will be running their cars on absolute fumes, just enough fuel to get round. Obviously, less weight, more lap time gain, and particularly these high-speed tracks, will be a big indicator of who's running a little heavier than those around them. So while our drivers just take this opportunity to get used to these cars with a lot of fuel on board, and of course the dynamic change that brings, let's recap last time out. Spa, crikey, one of, I think, the best races I've seen here at the league ever. In fact, first two races, we had two races. The first one was a classic. We had an 8-car fight for the lead, all the way up to the very final corner. Well, there was a drama, Phil, and there were some ramifications from that.
Yes, I think it was the likes of Strawn, Chupenik, Chodra, all kind of all desperate to get to the bus stop chicane in the lead. Sadly, Strawn, I remember, was trying to slipstream somebody and pulled out to his left and tapped, I think it was Chupenik, and that, I think I kind of called out, was a bit of a mistake on Strawn's part, and he was given a 10-second time penalty after that incident, and I think he went down from about 4th position all the way down to 14th. So, he should have. It was a case of stick or twist. He twist, and it backfired, I'm afraid.
Did indeed, but he bounced back brilliantly. So, what we'll say first of all, Olsen won race 1, with coming ahead of Waring and Choda to round out the podium there. But Strawn, after that moment, he bounced back brilliantly. He got some free air. He didn't have to defend his line at all, and he won dominantly in race 2 from Zupenik and Rolankovic. So, Strawn, although he had a little moment there, may have been lapse of concentration or whatever it may be, but the first real mistake he's made all year, and it's only cost him, it's cost him points, it's cost him positions, but with a 76-point lead over the next driver in the Drivers' Championship, I think he almost has some points to play with in that regard. He perhaps run a bit more of a risk.
Yeah, it was interesting whether I said stick or twist, and he decided that moment to twist. Interesting what it would have meant if he did kind of stay in 4th. Like I said, we're talking a nice little decent handful of points, and as we get near kind of, they say, the end of the European season, he could start trying to wrap this up early. But with a 76-point lead, he's kind of nearly running away with it.
Yeah, indeed. So we obviously have 5 more rounds after this one. We've got some interesting tracks coming up. Our next round will be in Singapore, but we'll get to that after this evening's racing is, of course, completed. So yes, certainly some opportunities for there to be mishaps, I think it's fair to say. And of course, Monza is not an easy track to drive either. There are only 11 designated corners around this track, but they're all very testing in their own unique way. And, Parabolica in particular, I've mentioned it already, but also the Lesmos, very tricky to get right, very easy to get wrong.
Yeah, there's also a lot of overtaking opportunities. I mean, the heavy brakings of turns 1 and 2. You've got a nice slipstream round turn 3, Curva Grande towards the heavy braking of turn 4 and 5. Lesmos 6 and 7, not so easy. Same with I've forgotten the name of it. Ascari 8, 9, 10, and then Parabolica. Again, you've got a bit of chance, but otherwise it's follow them down to the long straight down to turn 1 again. So it's heavy braking, so I expect to see a lot of overtaking.
Indeed, and brakes, of course, will be a factor. Want to keep those working at optimal temperatures, but also not abusing them, locking up, ruining any opportunity you may have to overtake. But anyway, we will wait and see what the race brings us. We have 2 minutes of our warm-up to go. What I will mention in the meantime, however, is, of course, if you're on Twitter or social media in general, feel free to get in touch, and more than happy to discuss any questions or anything like that you may have. Just to get involved, just head on over to Twitter. We are at GPVWC Live. Use the hashtag GPVWC to tweet in. I've already seen the Deltec Racing Team pleased with their drivers' performances so far, which is great stuff to see. And any questions you may have, comments, feel free to shout those out, and we will certainly discuss those, I'm sure, because Monza, it's almost a track like an oval in many ways, where a little bit of I don't know, almost chess. Well, it is almost like chess. If you try and break away and run away with it, it might not work for you. The slipstream factor can get you pulled back in. Perhaps just a little bit of work, even with perhaps a championship rival, just to try and build the gap, work together. You never know. You might see some moving and shaking in that way.
I think it's been nicknamed on the forum Dragfest. The amount of slipstream that's going to be going on. Also, I think compared to last year, this year you're not allowed to bump draft the vehicle in front. Bump draft is the action of basically slipstreaming to the back of the car and then just kind of hitting the back of them. So at 200 miles an hour, you're effectively giving them a boost as well as yourself, not trying to overtake the driver in front. That is now banned, so hopefully drivers are aware of that. I was thinking also, it's worth mentioning before we start the race, there are a few other penalties given out from Spa. One for Yaro Papasha for avoidable contact during qualifying, but he's not actually here this evening. He'll get a 10-stop grid penalty at his next race. And then Stefan Rout for dangerous driving during race 1 did finish the race, so he gets a timed 10-second penalty. And then Eric Strachan, as we said earlier. Francis Cabrera, of avoidable contact, obviously didn't finish the race, so he's now a 10-slot grid penalty for this one, which I think he is actually here. Also worth mentioning Samu Gabriel and Tobias Olsen in race 2, obviously a big incident, I think it was at the top of Eau Rouge, have both received 20 grid slot penalties. That's big for Olsen because I think he's starting in 4th place, so drops all the way down to 24th.
Yes, indeed, good spot. So obviously that's not quite the result he'll be looking for, or the starting place I'm sure in this first race he'll be looking for. But of course, second race, it's reverse grid, 15 to 20. So if he can make his way through the field, which I'm sure he'll be able to, he can definitely be in with a shout of some very good points in race 1 and of course even more opportunity in race 2. So do not write him off. He's a quick customer. We've seen that in previous races so far this season. I'm sure he'll be able to bounce back from that moment there. So just waiting for our drivers now to finish their final laps. The warm-up session has completed and we'll be moving on to our first race of this evening. 13-lap race, 2 13-lap races in fact, to bring you. And I'm sure, as we've seen in a few other places, Spa, oddly enough as well, slipstreaming a real factor with these cars. And it would not surprise me if we were seeing 2 and 3 wide going into a few corners. Hopefully, though, of course, everyone's nice and sensible off the start. We don't want a big accident. We've seen plenty of them in other forms of motorsport. Here down into turn 1 on the start of the race. One particular notable one which comes to mind is I think it was one of the Mercedes. I think it was Nico Rosberg was taken out. I want to say a Force India and a...
That was Tonio Liuzzi
yes,
in the HRT.
Yes, there we go. Yes, HRT having a moment of his own and just coming onto the track and sort of snookering people. So hopefully we won't be seeing that, but it's a very real risk. And of course, we're getting towards that the business end of this season. And any mistakes could be very, very, very serious for our championship protagonists. Anyway, our grid is now being formed by our race director, that being Chris Williamson. Thank you very much, Chris, for doing race direction this evening. We do seem to have actually 40 cars taking the grid, so that
to see
is
who's joined in.
Superb stuff. Yes. So a very full and busy grid. 40 cars, 5.7 kilometers. I'm hoping they'll be able to find enough space for everyone. There should be. But several of these corners, although you can get too wide in some of them definitely go down to a single file line through some of these corners. So hopefully everyone will be sensible. And we're just about to move now into our first race this evening.
Have to wait and see about the sensibleness, especially that long run down to the first corner.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
So while our factor man counts us in, we have 30 seconds for all the drivers to check their adjustable settings, make sure they've got all the fuel and whatnot they need, and take the grid here for race 1 this evening. We'll of course run through the starting grid for you in just a few seconds time. Before we get there, Phil, anyone you'd suggest our viewers this evening keep an eye out for?
Well, I'm kind of looking. Riera in 8th place for Mad Cape, being his. I think it is his first race. Be fun to watch him and see what kind of cat amongst the pigeons he can perform.
Indeed so, and of course he isn't necessarily thinking about a championship, so that could be a factor. Anyway, our grid for you this evening for race 1 will be led away from pole position by Lars Brugman for Mad Cape Racing Team. He will be followed by Jesper Nielsen for Ice Cold Racing, and the second Ice Cold Racing car of Eric Strachan will start in P3. Antonio Riankovic for Drake Racing will be starting in P4, and Lewis McGlade rounds out the top 5 for Kayala. Tom McKee for Centurion Grand Prix. Mackay, sorry. There we go. First mistake of the evening on the name front, I'm sure. Tom Mackay for Centurion Grand Prix will be starting in P6. He'll be followed by Scott Beresford for Racing Team Schroten. Argenis Riera for Mad Cape Racing Team will be starting in P8. Ben Supenik for Team Proline will be starting in P9. And rounding out our top 10 for race 1 this evening will be Niels Brugman for Centurion Grand Prix.
In 11th position for Viking Racing is Eduard Batala. Schroten of Epic Racing, Mike Schroten obviously, is P12. Jonas there you go, there's my mistake, Ravario, Zideric Racing, P13. Stefan Rout, a Deltec Racing team, is in 14th with Patrick Vandermüller for Cosmo Autosport in 15th. Daniel Chiranku for Triple 20 is in 16th place, and it's Drake Racing's James Kirk in 17th. Jeffrey Fournier for Racing Team Schroten is in 18th place, with Harry Nienemann for Jala Racing 19th, and Wesley Morris of Triple 20 in 20th.
So starting P21 will be Sandeep Chowdhury for Team Proline. He'll be followed by the Cosmo Autosport car driven by Hansko Mebius, starting P22. Sven Dirks for Dogecoin Racing will be starting in P23, and he'll be followed by Tobias Olsen following that grid penalty. He'll be starting in P24. Rolf Bass will be starting P25 for Backmarker Brigade, and he'll be followed by the second Vastavik Grand Prix car of John McLean, as I think that may have been a spinner on the formation.
Sven
That's certainly a lot of smoke. Sven Dirks. Oh. Unfortunate for Sven, that's a mistake. He'll have to wait for everyone to go by. He may actually need to recover to the pit lane. But having said that, let's return to our grid quickly. So, following John McLean will be James Ross in P27 for Viking, with Sim Parol in the Downforce iZone Racing car starting P28. Johan Lindberg for YTF1 will be starting in P29, and rounding out our top 30 will be Philip Koenig for Katana Motorsports.
Adam Osgood for Deltec Racing Team is 31st, and it's Epic Racing's Rob Rayson in 32nd place. Matthew Allington up in 33rd for YTF1, and it's Tim Straub for Zederick Racing in 34th. We then have our International Racing's Kenneth Ragland in 35th. Backmarker Brigade's Simon Smith in 36th position, with Gerald van der Wild for Dogecoin Racing in 37th. Tamu Cabrera for Scuderia Basilia in 38th. It's Sam Jones in 39th for Arrow International Racing, and rounding out on a 40th place position, Niels Voss for Scuderia Basilia. Just to mention, yeah, it was Sven Dirks did not notice Hansko Mebius braking like everyone else, and Hansko's had to go into the pits as well.
Indeed, yes, car. He went off at Parabolica.
He got hit into the back end. He got hit heavily into the back of Sven as well. Or Sven hit him, sorry. And Neil is starting in the pit lane.
So drama off the start, but we've got 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are racing. Off we go. Good start from all round, actually. We've got a bit of movement in the midfield, but the top 6 are way well as they now run down towards Retafilio for the first time this evening. Brugman going very defensive, covering the inside, but here comes Nielsen. Nielsen later on the brakes, and he's just about got up his inside. Brugman, though, covers the line well, and they are, as you were, in the top 3. It is Brugman from Nielsen from Strawn, and from what I can see, although there's a bit of smoke, looks like everyone's just about got away well.
It looks like, yeah, everyone's got away okay. Can't see too much damage, so looking all good.
Indeed. So James Kirk, great start for him. He's up to P9 at the moment. Rauch challenging him. Beresford P11's going backwards, and there's Ravio, very late on the brakes, going around the outside of Beresford there through the second chicane. It's a lovely move there done. Oh, Rao, a little bit of power down, and he's gone backwards there. So critical the traction out of these slow chicanes. So lots of movement in the midfield. James Kirk, an early gainer.
Yeah, James Ross went very wide at Coverdale, and he went off and hit the tyre wall, so that's him currently right near the back of the grid. And Niels Voss and Mebius and Sven Dirks have already been let out the pits now.
Yep, a long hold there. They have to wait for all the cars to leave Sector 1, which they have done now. So they have been released from the pit lane. Meanwhile, returning to the head of the field, it is still Brugman, Nielsen and Strawn. But we've got a long train of cars. There's no... Oh, as Brugman's run wide out of the exit of Ascari, that's going to give Nielsen the opportunity he needs. He's into the lead. Easily done there.
Backmarker Brigade off Wesley Morris.
Oh, yes, and several cars. Oh, yes, 1, 2, 3, 4 cars stopped there in Ascari, unfortunately. Took clearly a moment for a couple of drivers there. We'll try and catch what happened there. But Nielsen has now taken the lead. Little mistake there from Brugman has given the lead away. Strawn not close enough to capitalise there. But here he comes. Brugman in the slipstream. A speed demon. The Mad Cape driver. And he is... Oh, goodness me. He's just slowly edging ahead as they run down into the braking zone here. Down into turn 1. And Brugman immediately retakes the lead of the race. So clearly that Mad Cape car working very well this evening in a straight line.
So coming into the pit lane, we've got Sandeep for Team Proline is currently getting a new front wing. Rolf Bass, who hit the back of Nienemann going into Ascari, which is why he's coming in. So yeah, Neil Voss and Hansko and Sven have already made up a couple of places.
Good starts from them. Another good starter was Ben Zupenik. He's currently challenging Tom McKay, for P5. He's currently P6. He's got Mike Schrupp behind him as well. As this group now running through the 2 Lesmos, and of course this group not very far away at all from our leading group as well. So we've got a real train, I want to say almost the top 15, all within very close proximity. 7 seconds of gap.
Beresford in 11th place is looking down the inside of James Kirk at Ascari. It's going to be a brave one. There is going to be... Oh, he's given him enough space. Well played, both of them. James is going to go a little bit wide here. Give Beresford another run as we go towards Parabolica.
Indeed, he's going to have to drive a very wide drag car to be able to fend off any form of move. Here comes Beresford. It's nice, it's early. We've seen it, but nowhere near close enough to make anything happen. Although Kirk is offline, he's definitely going to be a little bit compromised coming through Parabolica here. It may give the opportunity again to Beresford as they now run down towards turn 1. But here comes Raoult. Here comes Raoult. He's been enjoying this slipstream as well, but here comes Beresford. Beresford, good run here on Kirk, and I think we're certainly too wide. Raoult was looking to make it 3, but no room there. Beresford late on the brakes. Kirk holds the line. Beresford completes the move. Nice overtake done there, and we've got 2 cars, Raoult and Wannermuller for Cosmo. They're getting dicey as well, so action in the midfield. And we've now got a bit of a breakaway group. We've got the top 9 now in a nice little race of their own, and then we have everyone, essentially this little battle we were just focusing on, they're running their own race as well. So we've got a top 9 breakaway, just as we did in Spa.
Yep, we had also our first assignment. James Moss was trying to overtake Tim Straub on the outside of Ascari. Got a bit crowded out and sadly whacked the wall and got suspension damage, so he is our first assignment.
So a pity that, so early into the race. We're on lap 3 of 13, 2 laps completed. Also, moving around on that lap, Eric Strawn has taken second place from his teammate. Didn't catch what caused that one, but here comes Strawn. They're running now down towards Ascari. Curbs, normally the friend of a GT car, definitely the enemy of these Formula cars. No opportunity to run over those curbs and carry a bit more momentum, but the leading group have navigated that one nicely. Brugman continues to lead, and here comes Strawn in the slipstream down towards Parabolica. Not close enough to make anything happen this time. Strawn very nicely onto the apex there of Parabolica. Brugman just a little bit wide, I want to say a metre or so. It's all you need just to scrub off a little speed onto this straight, and here comes Strawn. Brugman covering the inside immediately. He's going to make Strawn go the long way around as they now run over the start-finish line. Complete lap 3, start lap 4. Phil, talk us down to turn 1.
Yeah, I'm wondering Nielsen's going to try and get involved as well. It's going to be last of the late breakers. They break roughly the same time, and Jankovic. Oh, contact! Strawn's hit the back! Oh, Strawn.
That was unfortunate. Goodness me, you can watch. Oh, and we've got a Cosmo car going off in the background as well, taking the sausage curb, and away he goes. Goodness me, just keeping an eye on the replay here. They were level, literally same VMAX, same velocity down the start-finish straight. Slightly different on the brakes. Strawn was just there on the outside. It's highly unusual because the car snapped like someone went up the inside of Brugman. So
he's got the front wing damage as well. He's got no front wings, so he's going to collapse down the places as Strawn managed to keep second place. It's now his teammate in the lead.
Indeed so. So a drama there, a real drama there for Lars. But of course we know he is a mighty quick fellow. I'm sure he'll get that damage repaired, make his way through the field. And of course we have our second race this evening to capitalise on. We've seen drivers recover from the early phases of the race, little dramas, and I'm sure he'll be able to do the same. Anyway, so as Phil was just saying, Nielsen now leads us from Strawn. Rankovic, car off in a big way in Ascari, into the wall. Who is that? Goodness me, that was Schroten for Epic Racing. Goodness me, let's keep an eye on this one. Here we go. Did mention this was going to catch a few drivers out. He's behind Mackay. Mackay covering the line nicely as they run under the banking. Schroten on the normal racing line, and oh, there's a touch! Oh, there's a touch from Mackay, and that's to send Schroten onto the grass and into that wall. Over the gravel trap he goes. Amazing that he came across the track there. Thankfully didn't collect anyone else, but a real shame there for Schroten. That's 2 cars this lap who've lost their front wing through damage, and twice there's been contact involved in that, so a real pity there.
It is. We've seen, because Brugman's just now behind Schroten as they come into the pit lane, so that's those two. Quite a bit out the points at the moment, but you never know. Amazing, we only have 1 retirement so far, which, as I said earlier, was James Ross.
Indeed. Well, let's run you through our top 5. As it currently stands, we're on lap 5 of 13. We have Jesper Nielsen leading from Eric Strawn. Antonio Milankovic for Drake is in P3. Bensi Pennick continues to move up the order for Team Proline in 4th, and rounding out the top 5 is Tom Mackay for Centurion Grand Prix. And we've got Lewis McGlade now buying into the top 5. He's been closing up steadily on Mackay over the last few laps. I think the little dramas which have been going on have helped the Kyle driver, and Ravio is not too far behind either. So we've got a little group here of 7 now. 8th place, Stefan Roalt, after a few mistakes early on, starting to fall off the back of this one, but that might not be such a bad thing if this lot comes to blows. There we are, McGlade, he's got a good run here. He might have a chance at P5 down into Ascari. He's certainly gaining, but I think he's thought better of that one. line them up perhaps on the exit of Ascari. Very easy to make a mistake through here. Very easy to focus on the driver behind and not focus on where you're going, but it's nice to navigate it from the both of them. Let's see what has the better top speed here down this straight. Phil takes away.
I'm actually watching McGlade and Mackay. Yeah, McGlade's going to have a look at the inside of Parabolica and thought just about better of it. But he's much quicker through Parabolica and is easily going to have him way before turn 1. Although he's not going to get the slipstream now, so interesting to see how they've sorted their cars out for top speed. Seeing as Strana and Nielsen are going to do anything about swapping, but they're not at the moment. As they all run down to turn 1. Oh, little lock up from Nielsen. Oh, he's gone wide. So Strana's going to have a better exit here. Is he going to be able to take the position? He is. Is Strana going to be able to hold second? He isn't. And that's 2 places lost for going wide.
Indeed,
Breaking
Nielsen.
a bit too late.
Yeah, Nielsen just a mistake there, and that's all Relinkovic needed. He's up to P2 and making his way through the field very nicely for Drake. So he continues to move forward, and McGlade not able to get by McKee there. On that time around, Ravio now all over the back of the Kayala driver. So little scraps and battles going on here. Just also going to say Ben Supenic last time around set the fastest lap of the race, and he is now on the back of Nielsen. So we've got a breakaway group of 4 as drivers now starting to pair off and fight their own little fights here. We're on lap 6 of 13, so we're coming up on half race distance here, and this is our first race. And plenty of good battles. Just keeping an eye. James Kirk's dropped down to 13th. I didn't quite see what happened there, but Stefan Rao and Patrick Vandermuller are now fighting over P9 and P10, which is where James was a moment ago. Vandermuller on the brakes down into Ascari. Ooh, space left just about for the 2 of them. But goodness me, yes, late on the brakes, didn't quite work for Vandermuller there, but he's clearly feeling feisty as Jolankovic leads.
Now he must have missed that one. Let's have a quick look. So going through Ascari, he's behind Strawn, but he's got sort of amazing slipstream. And just taking the inside at Parabolica, but now it's going to be another slipstream race.
Trouble. It's going to be double trouble. There's both ice-cold cars now looking to work together, I'm sure, to try and overtake the Drake drivers. They now run down towards Ratafilio for the 7th time. Rankovic just so late on the brakes. It's incredible. Getting the car stopped beautifully and seeing off whatever challenge the ice-cold drivers had to put up there. So Rankovic leads on lap 7 of 13.
See Batala take James Kirk for 13th as well.
So
turn 1.
A little bit of movement further down the field as well. Lots of little scraps, actually. There hasn't been much field spread at all so far in this race. As Cabrera there, I see just recovering from a moment down in turn 1. I think he lost
way too late on the brakes. Just locked up, went way too late. Didn't lose anything, didn't get anything.
Got to come back, though, to our leading pair. Halenkovic really under pressure here from Strawn, all over the back of that Drake car, harrying through the 2 Lesmos. Clearly that ice cold car carrying its speed, carrying momentum beautifully to and from the apex, and he's now right on the back of the Drake car as they run down towards Ascari. This one's going to be a brave one. I think I'll be thinking about backing out, as Strawn does.
He does, but he's going to try and mess up Jankovic through these corners, then get a nice exit, but actually he's done rather well.
Indeed he has, and let's also keep an eye on Supenic here. He's had plenty of pace in him so far this race. Nielsen going defensive. Strawn, I think, trying to provide a bit of slipstream to his teammate.
Rankovic
going defensive. Oh, there has to be contact. Goodness me, how did that one not end in tears? I'll never know.
I think it was more. I think Jankovic is lagging a little bit.
Ah, well, a little bit of latency might just have saved us from a big accident down into Parabolica, but as they now run across the start-finish line, it's going to be a 4-way fight for the lead. Goodness me, 2 by 2. They came down towards turn 1, and how do they finish? Well, Rankovic is later on the brakes just about yet again and covers the line. Strawn holds on to 2nd place, but what can Supenic do here? Can he get the traction on exit? Yes, he can. He takes P3 from Nielsen as this group continue to scrap away. They are slowing each other down, and our fight for P5 and P6, that has swapped around. McGlade now ahead of McKee. Ravio still in P7, but they are now gaining on our leading group.
Just watching 9, 10, 11, Rout, Brugman and Vandermuller. Brugman managed to overtake Vandermuller down to turn 1. He's going to look at Rout down into turn 3. No, brakes just about right there. I'm just going to see if he can line him up for later. Nope. But he's made 1 place, so he's up into 10. Currently 15th. It's Genus Rara from Mad Cape taking our last point. But he's only a few tenths ahead of Ari Nieneman for Kajala.
There we go. Action throughout the point-scoring places this evening. And here comes Strawn on Rankovic, down into Ascari again. He's going on the racing line, trying to make Rankovic go the long way round. Taking all of the curb there on the first part of Ascari. All nice and legal as far as our track definitions go. But Strawn right on the gearbox now of the Drake car. But brilliant defence just covering the inside. That's all he needs to do. He's making that ice cold driver drive the long way around, and here comes Zupenik. He has a little sneaky look up the inside, can't find a way, and here comes Zupenik. Zupenik, masterful, comes to the inside, stays nice and tight, and goodness me, I think he's got one of the best exits of the group. Here comes Nielsen though, he's got the slipstream from his teammate,
Oh, blimey.
and in one corner, Urankovic has gone from the lead to 4th. We've got 3 wide currently down into turn 1, Zupenik, Nielsen and Strawn. Zupenik's having none of that, Nielsen takes the lead of the race on the brakes.
Nicely done there. They managed to kind of all keep out of trouble. Yankovic's going a bit sideways there. He backed off as well. He thought, you know what, I want to get some points here. I don't want to lose the car. So he kind of let them all get away a little bit there. So whether he can catch back up. Is Nielsen going to let his teammate through? I keep saying this as if he's going to definitely do it, but I don't actually know. So fair play to him. Race him to the end. Give him something to fight for.
Absolutely no team orders, even though Eric, of course, in the driver's fight. Not say that Jesper isn't. So those two scrapping hard are leading 4, covered by just 0.6 of a second, and then 1.4 seconds back is our next pair of or brace or trio of drivers, being McGlade, Mackay and Ravio. So all very close and tasty in the top 10, just as it was in Spa, and I fear if Nielsen, Strawn, Zupenik and Milankovic continue to scrap, we are going to have more cars join the party, and it's only going to make things a little more tasty. So some brilliant formation flying through Parabolica. Strawn having a little moment there on the exit of Ascari, but he's actually gathered it up well. Nielsen going on the racing line, not really defending whatsoever. Is Strawn going to have a lunge down into Parabolica? Yes, he does. He's a little bit later on the brakes. He's on the inside line, and Nielsen not really fighting that one. Can you blame him though? Teammates, you don't want to be taking each other out, but here he comes on the slipstream. Have to be careful. Do not want to have contact. It's very difficult to catch a car going at speed like this, but here comes Zupenik. Double slipstream, double toe as they run now down over the start-finish line. Complete lap 9, move on to lap 10. And here comes Zupenik. Is he going to be later on the brakes than Strawn? Ooh, he comes across Strawn there. I think he turns in across there a bit. He's been able to take the lead, but there was definitely contact there, and that's definitely not Strawn wants to be having at this point in the race.
What we're looking at there, I'm looking at 9, 10, 11 and 12 all very close together at the moment. That's Rout, Vannemuller, Batala and Fournier. They've kind of split into 2 pairs as we run down towards turn 3. Fournier trying to get the inside of Batala. That's an ambitious move. If he's going to have the inside for this corner, then the outside for the turn 4-5 chicane. Who's going to be last on the brakes? It is Batala. Is he going to make the corner? Yes, he is. Nicely done to hold position.
Ben Zupenik is our new leader on lap 10 of 13. 3 to go after this one, and Milankovic has been able to overtake Nielsen in the last couple of corners as well. So it's Zupenik from Strawn, Milankovic from Nielsen. McGlade rounds out a top 5, but keeping an eye, Strawn, he's going on that racing line. He's later on the brakes than the Pro Line driver, and he gets round the outside through the first part of Ascari. Supreme driving there from the Ice Cold Racing driver, but he's going to be vulnerable now as they run down towards Parabolica. What can Zupenik do? He's not really taking the slipstream, but here comes Milankovic.
He'll have the slipstream.
Oh,
no!
Oh, Rankovic just, I think, turning Zupenik round, and
out
there's
Nielsen.
Oh, into the back. Oh, dear. I fear that there may have been a bit of network factor in that one. As Zupenik spun round, he's lost his front wing, and he has gone from hero, unfortunately, 2-0 in just a few corners.
Staying out.
And he's staying out. I don't think he realises he's missing his front wing. He's going to realise in a second when he starts zooming by people, because he doesn't have front wing slowing him down. So he'll definitely want to get that one replaced, I am sure. But that has really shaken things up. Strawn leads us from Milankovic. McGlade up into P3 following all that, and Mackay not far behind.
Nicely for them. Yeah, that was a bit of a weird one, that. Like I said, it looked like Juventus is kind of cut across out of nowhere.
There was certainly contact. You can't deny it. If it was intentional, I'm sure not. Well, first of all, I'm sure contact is not intentional in any form whatsoever, of course. But I do wonder if there's a little bit of latency or something involved there. We'll have to find out after the race, I'm sure. Anyway, in the grand scheme of things, that's exactly what Eric Strawn wanted. He's got a bit of a breathing room, 0.2 of a second between himself and Rankovic. Rankovic, though, pressing very hard. And you've got now McGlade in that final podium position. Mackay close behind, and a recovering Nielsen. Speaking of recovering drivers. Sorry, go ahead.
Vannemuller spin round at the turn 4-5 chicane there, so he lost about 2 or 3 places. It's down to 16th and now out the points.
Lars Brugman, of course, early leader, and of course had a moment early on. He's currently in P28, just keeping an eye on recovering drivers.
Fight for the lead.
As we now return, of course, to our lead battle. Take away, Phil. Rankovic leads.
Rankovic got around the outside there, going into Parabolica. He's locked up a little bit, and that's going to give Strawn a nice run here as we head final corner down into turn 1. He's not taking the slipstream yet, doesn't think he needs it. He's going to take a little dose of it now as we go into the penultimate lap, lap 12 of 13. Only 700ths of a second in it at the moment for the lead. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers down into turn 1? About even Steven. Strawn's going to have a better line here through turn 1 and 2. Get a nice exit. They go down towards Curva Grande, and yeah, still on as even at the moment.
It is very, very similar. Very similar. As we hit Mackay's round.
Just having a quick look at it now. He's kind of nearly 3 wide. Is he just? Is it going to be a slight tap? No, he's just gone over. He's gone over the. He jumped over the sausage curbs. Luckily, Nielsen hit him. I think Nielsen is actually okay, but that's him down to 7th.
A little late moment there early in the race. It may be getting towards the end, but plenty of action still be had. So drama there for Mackay. Breathing of space as correctly spotted by cameraman extraordinaire Paul McGlade. So I'm sure Lewis is going to be very grateful of that. Just bring the car home now. Just don't make any mistakes. He's got a second and a bit odd gap to Scott Beresford. He's having a cracking race for Racing Team Schroten. He's been slowly making his way forward. He's under pressure though for P4. From Jonas Ravio. Let's see, can Ravio do him on the brakes into Ascari? Very even Stevens, lovely space left between the two. No, he can't on this time round, and it's a good exit there from Beresford. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge for Ravio to use the slipstream to pass him. So good racing between those two. Strawn and Rolankovic continue to scrap here. As we are now completing lap 12, we will be going on to lap 13, our final lap of the race. And they are going to be side by side as they cross the start-finish line. Now, I have to remember which line. It's the second finish line that we're using, so a little bit more space someone could use on the final drag out of Parabolica on the final lap. So Horankovic leads down into turn 1. Strawn getting out of that one nice and early, and Horankovic taking a lovely line through there. He'll get a good exit on that one. Strawn's going to have to pull out some magic from his hat if he wants to take the win on this one. McGlade continues to be in P3, and Beresford continues to hold on to P4. Ravio's in P5, rounding out the top 5.
Just watching Batala, Brugman and Fournier fight for 9th, 10th and 11th at the moment. They're all very close. That'll be interesting to watch at the end, as will be Mackay and Rout in 7th and 8th. But at the moment, Strawn got a nice exit here from the first Lesbo. He's going to dive down in the second one. Not usually an overtaking area, but he's going to, a bit of a tap, but run down towards Ascari.
Indeed so. Evidently, that Ice Cold car is carrying momentum through the corner brilliantly, and that's just making the ability to hone up on the back of drivers all the more simple. But he can't do anything down into Ascari this time around. There we go. So, cameraman extraordinaire has placed his bet. He thinks he's going to be Strawn's going to be making a move into Parabolica. We'll wait and see. Strawn is on the outside of Rankovic. What can he do now into Parabolica? Rankovic covers the inside. He's carrying momentum around the corner, but Rankovic is carrying enough speed just to hold him off. Rankovic just has to stay to the inside here. It's the shortest run to the line. It's going to be very, very close across the start-finish line. But Rankovic wins half a tenth of a second between him and Strawn. A hard-won victory there for the Drake Racing team. Lewis McGlade comes home in P3 for Kayala Racing, with Scott Beresford coming home in P4 for Racing Team Schroten. Ravio there. Jonas Ravio for Zedric Racing has come home in P5. Jesper Nilsson in P6. Tom McKay after that, Mackay. I'll get there eventually.
Rob Mason and Sim Parole fighting for the 18th and 19th, still fighting. It's going to be a close one. Yep, thousands of a second between those two as well.
They're very close. Just rounding out our point scoring finishes. Stefan Runolt for Deltec. He came in P8. Fournier for Racing Team Schroten in P9. So clearly Racing Team Schroten car working well in the race. Batala for Viking came home in P10. Niels Brugman for Centurion was in P11. Argenis Riera for Mad Cape came home P12. James Kirk for Drake came home P13. So double point score there for the Drake Racing team. Harry Niemanen for Kyla came home P14. And bringing home the final point for Cosmo Autosport was Patrick Vannemuller. So goodness me. We were expecting slipstreaming, I think it's fair to say, but I was not expecting the contact. I was fearing the contact. Unfortunately, I think it defined bits of the race there, but a good win, a superb win there for Rankovic, making all of the right moves at the right time. Yeah,
it's kind of right place there, but it kind of all went a bit up in arms, so well done to him. Just point out, we actually missed a few people retiring. Due to all the excitement at the front, we missed Schroten went out on lap 7, Jarald van der Wield on lap 10, Rolf Bass on lap 12, and during the final lap there, Hansco Mebius retired with suspension damage. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 retirements, and we had 35 cars finish, all on the same lap as well. No cars were lapped.
There we go. Not very often that you don't get any lapped cars at all, and it's good stuff to see that we didn't have any. So unfortunate, of course, that we had a few retirements. But hell surprise, that is the way these things go sometimes. So there we go, a very action-packed first race. I'm just keeping an eye who will be in the hot seat for the reverse position. So I got some quick drivers in there. Unfortunately, throughout that, we did not see a recovery from Lars Brugman. He finished in P26 following that early moment. And who was the other driver who had a big moment? I thought it might have been Schroten, but I can't spot him in the list. So
It was Chupenik.
Was it?
Down in 25th.
Ah, well there he is. So yes, there we go. So unfortunately, not enough time to get a recovery in. But again, that is the way it goes sometimes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. And well, they've got a second race to try and make something and bring home some points. So we will of course bring you our reverse grid draw in just a few moments' time. Drivers just sorting themselves out after a pretty action-packed first race, one which, to a degree, went quite to plan for Eric Strawn. More points in the bag, but do you think he'll be a little bit annoyed he didn't get the win there?
I think part of him will be, but I think also he's kind of got serious points there when his kind of rivals around him haven't, due to other incidents. So yeah, it's still a decent points haul.
Yep, absolutely, and also great result there. Mentioned it in the race. Lewis McGlade, I'm sure, will be absolutely over the moon with P3. Hard work, hard drive there, and he's got himself a lovely reward. So good stuff for him there. So, as we are now migrating into our second warm-up session of the evening, just before our second race, I will quickly cast my eye to Twitter, see if anyone's been tweeting at us. Meantime, Phil, can you talk us through Open Series?
I would if my game doesn't crash. It hasn't. That's good. Right, so I can talk about who was on pole, which was Francis Cabrera from Niels Voss and from Aidan Posson. I haven't actually got the results up, so give me a second. Sorry about this. I usually have it all ready, so you usually pass over to me, and I've got it all here for you. So I don't, but I do now. Nope, that's Formula Challenge, Phil. That's definitely not the results you were looking for.
Well, while we're sorting ourselves out there, let me, of course, just talk about the league here. So, as you've seen, we've got some open wheel racing going on, and this is the first step on what we call the career ladder. We have here at the GPVWC superb system where you can go from these junior Formula cars all the way up to our equivalent of Formula One, the top tier. Well, this evening is Formula Challenge. It's the first run, as I mentioned, and well, tomorrow we'll have yet more racing from Monza, from Super Cup, which is the next level up. And on Thursday evening, same place, same time, we will have Super League, which is our equivalent of Formula One, with a very intense battle brewing there. So if Formula Racing is your bag, feel free to catch those broadcasts. And if you want to partake, you want to be a driver, well, there's a step even below Formula Challenge where you can do just that, which is Open Series. Designed for drivers who haven't got a contract but want to get involved with the Formula scene and the career ladder scene. Perfect opportunity to turn up, have a drive, and hopefully impress a few team bosses around along the way as well. Having said that, of course, if open wheelers are not your thing, well, we've got plenty of tin top action as well. We've got the International Touring Cup, our World Touring Car Series, running on Mondays. We have the final round, as it will be, of WSS, our Porsche Super Cup equivalent, running on Wednesdays. And once a month, we, of course, have World GT, which is our GT Championship. 1 hour races, our next round in 3 weeks' time, I should say, from Silverstone down on R Factor 2. And I've also, of course, we'll mention is Atlantic Series, our first R Factor 2 open wheel series, our take on the IndyCar series. That on the next round of that will be coming from the Charlotte Motor Speedway next week. And I found myself in a seat, so it's going to be quite good fun to have a crack driving those cars around an oval for a bit. So while that is all to look forward to, if any of it takes your fancy, do head on over to gpvwc.com, sign up. Plenty of opportunity to get involved with a great community. And now I've hopefully bought enough time. Phil, can you talk us through Open Series?
Yeah, so I usually have it all written down, and that race was so exciting, I haven't written it down, and the server has gone offline, so I can't actually get to the results. But what I will say is well done for Francis Cabrera for being on pole, who obviously is very good on the one lap. And there is no results tab to look on because there is no server to look on. So I'm slightly stuck finding the actual results for the Open Series.
So unfortunately, we can't bring you the Open Series results, but I'm sure several drivers getting the opportunity, of course, to show their technique, show their style.
Oh, no, I found it.
Oh, hooray! Right,
Hey!
off we go.
Right, I've learned how to use live races. Brilliant. So, Aidan Possum, who started in 3rd place, got the win. So, well done to him. And it was Francis Cabrera, who started from pole but dropped place, finished 2nd. And Niels Voss, who started in 2nd, finished 3rd. So, the top 3, basically, Aidan went from 3rd to 1st, and Francis and Niels both dropped a position. So, obviously, a very good race from Aidan there to get the win.
Indeed so. Well, there you go. Open Series, the prime place to show off your ability, and there we go. A good win there for Aidan. So good stuff.
I should point out, actually, I've got the times up, and he won it by 0.06 of a second, with Niels 0.8 further back, and then there was a 12-second gap to 4th place. So, yeah, obviously they were fighting hard all the way to the end, and Cabrera also had the fastest lap during the race, so his 1-lap pace was definitely there. Just during a 13-lap race stint, Aidan managed to hold it all together. In fact, he led 11 of those 13 laps as well.
Good stuff. Well, good way to make an impression. Of course, where we may be heading to the end of this season, perfect opportunity to perhaps pick up a couple of rounds worth of experience in Formula Challenge and get ready perhaps for next year. And of course, we're bringing you all the action of next year as well. We hope. As we get there, of course, we'll have our final 5 rounds over the next 10 weeks, as it will be. And we'll be going off for our winter break, but I'm sure between now and then there'll be plenty of racing and action to partake and to enjoy. And of course, we'll be back after the winter break for yet more Formula Challenge and Career Ladder and all of that goodness. So as we are now just waiting for our drivers to finish their warm-ups here, we've got 1 minute to go of our second warm-up. Interestingly, very few drivers actually going out to track. Clearly quite happy either with how the car was responding in the warm-up and or in the race there, and not feeling the need to go out again. Phil, you've driven these Formula Challenge cars. It was a little while ago, but how did you find these cars in terms of difference from a sort of qualifying weight with very little fuel to a car full of fuel with plenty of weight to play around with?
It is very much a different beast, and you're waiting to burn that. I mean, these things burn off fuel so quickly. You're waiting to burn it off to then kind of be able to get the power back down. Having said that, you then run the risk that obviously your tyres will start to go. So you're kind of trying to find that middle point of when you have enough grip and chucked enough fuel out the car to kind of really put the lap in. I mean, and around Monza, it's just all about slipstreaming, knowing at which point, which corner to overtake. Do you overtake them at this corner, or do you maybe wait a couple more corners and then overtake at the next one to give yourself kind of more of a rundown to more of a gap so they can't slipstream you back?
Yep, indeed. So perhaps drivers going, no, we'll take a slipstream. We'll focus on that. Thank you very much, and we won't worry necessarily about balance or how the car's feeling. We will wait and see. Warm-up is now officially over. Just waiting for drivers to finish their final few laps. We do have the grid arranged. Unfortunately, I did miss who was now on pole position. We'll bring you, of course,
Cabrera,
the grid.
I believe.
Ah, well, there you go.
16th place.
So, opportunity from pole position. What can he do? We saw, interestingly enough, although there was plenty of overtaking in the midfield, I think once drivers, got settled down, got in their rhythm, they're quite happy to follow one another and just make the overtake happen as and when needed. So, yes, we'll see what he can do from there. And of course, our winner last time around, Rolankovic, he'll be wherever Cabrera was. So he's got a fair few cars to make his way through, at least 15. So we'll have to see how he can do that. Actually, I think that may have been Niemann on pole. So.
No, it's definitely Cabrera.
Okay, fine. I'll take the word for it.
We're quite good at missing things this evening, but I'm pretty sure it was Cabrera.
Rightio. So we will go with that then. So with that all said and done, grid is being formed. Everyone just wishing each other good luck. And as we're about to migrate into the race, Phil, anyone you suggest keeping an eye on in what I'm sure is going to be an action-packed second race this evening?
Hang on. I think I'd like
Attention
to.
grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
As the R Factor man gets us going, it gives me a second to look who's high up there. Kirk and Riera, 4th and 5th, would be interesting ones to watch. As is Niels Brugman actually in 6th. Those three, see how they get going. I'm just seeing how far back does Strahan now have to come from. He is. Where's Strahan on this grid? Have I lost him?
That is a good point. Where is he?
We're desperately trying to run down the grid order to look for him, but I can't actually see him at the moment.
My. Is he Is he not here? He must be here. We've got 39 cars. Anyway, we'll figure it out, I hope, as we go through our grid. So, Phil, take us away.
Okay, on pole it's Tamu Cabrera for Scuderia Brasilia, with Patrick Vandermuller for Cosmo Autosport in second, Kachala Racing's own Ari Nienemann in third place, James Kirk for Drake Racing down in fourth position, and Agnes Ferreira for Mad Cape Racing Team in fifth, Niels Brugman for Centurion Grand Prix in sixth position, with Edouard Patala for Viking Racing in seventh, Racing Team Trojan's very own Jeffrey Frenair in eighth position, with Stefan Rout for Delta Racing Team in ninth, and Tom Mackay for Centurion Grand Prix in 10th.
And we have the ice cold car of Jesper Nielsen. He'll be starting in P11. Jonas Ravio for Zedric Racing will be starting in P12, with Scott Beresford for Racing Team Troughton in P13. Lewis McGade for Kyala will be starting in P14, with race winner Rujankovic starting in P15. So definitely no straw in between those two, which is where we'd expect. Let's see if he's down the grid for whatever reason. Anyway, Olsen will be starting in P16, or he would be if he was on the grid. He's in fact in the pit, so he may be taking the start from the pit lane. We'll see. Rob Mason will be starting P17, however, for Epic Racing, with Sim Parol for Downforce iZone Racing starting P18. Daniel Zeranku for Triple 20 will be starting in P19, and rounding out our top 20 for race 2 this evening will be Adam Oscar for Deltec Racing Team.
Aspect Grand Prix John McLean in 21st position, with Wesley Morris of Triple 20 down in 22nd. Kenneth Ragland is 23rd for Aria International Racing, and Team Prolines Ben Stupenik is 24th. Be interesting to see how far up the grid he can make it now that Eric Strand's not here. Lars Bugman in 25th position for Mad Cape Racing Team, and Matthew Allington for YTF1 down in 26th. We then got Niels Voss in 27th position for Scuderia Brasilia. Simon Smith, Backmarker Brigade in 28th. 29th is taken by Tim Straub for Zedwick Racing, and rounding out top 30 is my namesake Philip Koenig for Katana Motorsports.
Starting in P31, Team Proline will be Sandeep Chodak. Keep an eye on Sandeep, he's been mighty quick in previous rounds. For Dogecoin Racing, starting in P32 will be Sven Dirks. P33 will be Sam Jones for Arrow International. He'll be followed by Johan Lindberg for YTF1 starting P34. Ansco Mebius for Cosmo will be starting P35. Rolf Bass for Backmarker Brigade will be starting from the pit lane behind Olsen, so Olsen will be taking the start. Jared van der Velde for Dogecoin Racing will be starting in P38, with Mike Troughton starting P38 for Epic. And rounding out our grid is James Ross for Viking Racing, so no Eric Strachan. So that is, a potential 25 points that he's dropped. Hopefully we can find out why he's not here for the grid. But anyway, as our drivers are now taking their positions on the grid, our leaders have been stationary for some time, so temperature and from the brakes and tyres going
Philip
all
Koenig.
the time.
Philip Koenig also starting from the pits by the looks of it.
So there we go, a couple of cars, I think perhaps just gambling on a slight moment in turn 1, who knows? We will wait and see. Anyway, the grid is now formed. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are racing. Quick lights, but good start from everyone. A little delayed start there further back, and I think we're going to be 5 wide towards the midfield, but good start from Cabrera. Wannemuller all over the back of him. Niemann having a look as well as Wannemuller later on the brakes. Straight into turn 1. Oh, Cabrera, goodness me, has been smashed. He's flipped down in... Oh, and he's going to cover the road here. This is going to be tremendously tricky for our field to make it through. They just about do, but plenty of contact, plenty of wings lost. Niels Brugman for Centurion Grand Prix leads after. Goodness me, a freak moment here. As I just take an eye on the replay, got his braking wrong, rang into the back of Cabrera, and he just flips on the curb.
Yeah, so I mean that's him down from first, all they need to last. So that's a terrible start as Brugman's a bit all over the place, but I think that's latency. Vanderman losing a few places.
Mackay, sorry, I'm going to keep getting that wrong. I'm going to keep slapping myself. But Mackay, he's fighting for the lead from P10, I think it was. So great work from the Centurion driver, as we now got Fournier apparently in the lead. Is that right? Yes, it is indeed, for Racing Team Troughton. So goodness me, a drama there right on the start as we've got a car. Can't quite see who it is, but he's off at the exit of Stavolo 1. Anyway, as our leaders now round their way towards Ascari for the first time, Fournier has fallen back to second place. Mackay is fighting hard though. He has the lead as they now run out of Ascari for the first time down towards Parabolica. Let's see who is fastest of the pair here, Fournier or Mackay. At the moment it's Mackay and he covers the inside line. No opportunity to pass through Parabolica. But Fournier on exit carries the speed and has the inside. Let's see as they now run across the start-finish line to complete lap 1, move on to lap 2. Who is going to be making a move down into turn 1? Fournier has dipped in for the slipstream. He's running now alongside, but that Centurion car for me has just got a little bit more top speed. Who's going to be later on the brakes? I'm being nice and sensible. It's Mackay and Fournier tucks in behind.
Oh, Kurt's a little bit deep. Oh, hit man. Oh, there's a bit of contact going into turn 1 again, as there's like a long line of cars kind of going down. Who's the movers and shakers at the moment? I think Scott Beresford making a couple of places. He's got Jankovic all the way up to 12th position. And Lewis McGlade is up in 14th at the moment. Loads of cars going down to turns 4 and 5. They're all about to get through. Oh, Beresford jumps the curves and loses a few places because of it.
Yep, these cars do not take curves, unfortunately. Anyway, there's a bit of a cork in the bottle moment. We've got a bit of a Kirk train going as he's now running through the second Lesmo, and he's run wide! He's run wide! That is Wanamuller, Rao, Ravio, Niemanen, Ziranku before long. And here comes Zupenik, I'm sure, as well, making their way past. This one mistake there on exit, so much momentum lost. And that is 4-5 places. Oh, contact! Contact! Kirk, I think, just hit the back of Ziranku there. The triple 20 driver now off into the dust. Oh,
no, they had two separate incidents. It looks like, for me, it looks like they both had separate incidents. And the braking.
Tricky to see. I thought there was contact just by the way the camera was there. Maybe wrong. We'll wait and see.
Kirk is now retired by suspension damage.
Oh dear, so that has really broken the back of his Drake car. So from a promising position, he's out of the race. But our leading trio, who are currently leading, goodness me, that's a good logical sentence. Well done there, Matthew. Is Mackay from Fournier, from Brugman. These three breaking away and have a healthy gap. A 3-second gap to P4. So let's see if these three work together and try and make a gap, so much so that the people behind them cannot catch. I did wonder if we would get into this scenario where we'd have teams working together who wouldn't do otherwise. But here comes Niels Brugman all over the back of the racing team Schroeter driver. Fournier going defensive down into the Del Rogia. Brugman trying around the outside of the first part, inside for the second part. Nicely done. Fournier not quite getting a good enough exit to immediately repass, but he's up the inside for Lesmo 1. Contact, long corner, late apex. Fournier retakes the place.
Well, Antonio is up to 9th place for Jake. Just got round Ravio, who's currently fighting Lars Brugman, who's going to have the inside of the second corner here and has got himself up to 10th. So Ravio 2 places in 2 corners, basically.
Lovely stuff. Keep going, Phil, for a second. I just want to check a replay.
Okay, we've got Mackay currently in the lead with about half a second now to Fournier, so a bit of a gap there as Fournier is under pressure from Niels Brugman running down towards Parabolica. So we see if Mackay could make haste while the sun shines.
Yes, we'll have to wait and see. And yes, just looking back at that moment there, I think it was kind of odd. So Ziranku, I think, outbraked himself and happened to sort of skirt or skittle himself up the inside there of Niemanen, so there wasn't much there. And just looking, it was actually Kirk, I think, wanted to start to turn into Ascari, and he just got it a bit wrong. So, goodness me, very odd. 2 drivers making very similar mistakes. But Brugman now ahead of Fournier. As Fournier, goodness me, he's really got to be coming under pressure from Wanamer. Look at this, wide. Cosmo Autosport like a rocket.
Fournier went wide at the last corner, went onto the gravel and lost a handful of seconds.
There we go. Parabolica, a beautifully tricky corner with that gravel, with that surface, which will punish if you push too hard. It's what we like to see in motorsport, drivers being punished for their mistakes. No tarmac runoff areas there, and Fournier, unfortunately, has just lost a whole, 3 seconds effectively. It's a Centurion 1-2 at this point. Mackay from Brugman. Fournier really being hassled now by Wanamuller, really feeling feisty, feeling racy here for Cosmo Autosport, and he's bringing the whole gang of cars with him as well.
Tim Straub has just retired as well. He's came into the pits and retired, so that's the end of him, sadly. Second retirement of the day.
Ziranku getting past Niemanen there for P7, so he's recovering following that moment a lap ago. And a real train of cars here. We've got Lars Brugman recovering from that really unfortunate moment in race 1. He's currently in P9. He'll be challenging Niemanen, I'm sure, in the next few corners, and he's later on the brakes, in fact, down into Ascari, but not quite close enough to complete a move. And we've got Rolankovic, race 1 winner, just behind Brugman as well. Brugman, though, compromised here in P9. He's not got the run he will have wanted out of Ascari, but he is benefiting from the slipstream from Niemanen. It's just giving him enough to keep Rolankovic back. So as they now run down towards Parabolica, it's a late move on the brakes from Rolankovic. Space left, but momentum lost. So Brugman holds on to that one for now.
Probably haven't mentioned it's currently a 1-2 for Centurion Grand Prix with Mackay and Brugman. Just seeing what other teams are doing well. Fournier is under heavy pressure from just about the whole grid. We could go 4 wide here, which is not going to work, Trupenik, if you're half on the grass. Oh, he's just about managed to get onto the grass without nearly losing it. Oh, one in the back of the other there. They're all kind of going into the back of each other at this turn 1 because they're kind of following one big conga line.
Indeed, I was going to call it the Condoliver effect, but that's not what it is. But cars just bunching up on the brakes through the corners there, and thankfully no frontal rear wings lost. Light contact, let's call it, but any contact at all is not good. Zupenic, though, on the brakes, round the outside, takes P5 down into the Del Roggia. So Zupenic on the move.
I'm seeing somebody lost a few places there. No, must have been a bit of latency there. Yeah, it's kind of Jankovic up to 10th. He's lost the place actually in 10th. Lars is now 8th, so they're kind of really going for it at the moment. There's that massive train of cars, 7th, 6th, 5th, all kind of fighting each other at the moment. There's 4th and 3rd also rather close.
So just want to call out though, Centurion 1-2, and they're working together to build the gap lap after lap. They've got the gap up to 5 seconds now. It was 3 just a few laps ago, so they are driving a perfect team drive at this point, and we'll have to see if any fun and games starts to occur with team orders, or if they'll start racing towards the end. We'll wait and see. But casting our eyes back, 2, 3 and 4, we have Renault taking P3 from Vandermuller down into Parabolica. Vandermuller, though, being brave, trying around the outside of Parabolica. I don't think you'll find that one. Can he get the cutback effectively along the start-finish straight here, though, being in the slipstream of that Deltec Racing Team car? Well, let's see. He's already on the move. Feel that Cosmo car running nice and skinny wings. And here we go. He's gaining. He is properly alongside now. And as they hit VMAX, they're now on the brakes.
Oh, Tranku and Brugman! 8th and 9th. Oh, this is an alert to repeat. Is they going to miss? Oh, they've just about missed other contact there. That was very running down to turn 1. Sorry to cut over you there. That was Churanku just suddenly switches left and massively hits Brugman. I wonder if Brugman's lost his front wing in that, actually.
It doesn't look like it. He's got away almost with that, and we'll have to see where they all sort of filter themselves out. Lars in P8, Zuranku in P6. I'm not sure if any positions gained, but yes, a very odd move, just coming across there, just catching the back of Lars's car. So Lars really struggling, or being a victim of bad luck this evening. He's back down to P11, so I'm wondering if there's perhaps damage on his Mad Cake Racing car. We'll have to wait and see on that one, but tremendously unlucky this evening. Another little moment there, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, he just kind of suddenly switched left, not knowing he was there, but Tranku's somehow kept the position, so yeah, due to how 1 and 2 kind of work, he's lucky to keep it all there, as Zupenic is currently 5th. Yeah, Stefan Rout has kind of made a bit of a gap now to Vandermuller, but he's 5.5 seconds off 2nd place, so yeah, Centurion working together has actually helped them right now, and so we're coming up to the half race completion. They could be onto something here, but still a long way to go.
Absolutely, and in a very similar vein, as we've now got Zupenic. He's at P5. He's going to be under pressure here from Zuranku and Fournier. But much like we had at Spa, second race, drivers able to get clean air, not having to defend, they pull gaps. So Centurion going perfectly to plan for them. Keeping an eye on Zupenic and Zuranku. Zuranku trying around the outside. He's later on the brakes, and he's got the momentum. He takes the corner. He dictates the pace. Zupenic down to P6. A nice move there done by the 2020 driver. He's up to P5 and caused a bit of a pile behind him. But anyway, not his fault.
Dictates the pace, but also parks it on the chicane. But you can't go through him. So they've all kept their front wings. So an interesting move, but it worked.
Oh, contact Fournier! Fournier down into Del Roggia. That was another just miscommunication on the brakes, and he will recover that one. There is tarmac out there, although, oh goodness me, the mother of all sausage curbs, and he's plummeted down the field, unfortunately, the Racing Team Troton driver. But that was just a little bit late on the brakes. Oh, several cars off! Several cars off. Goodness me, the field is really coming together in the wrong kind of way here. Through Lesmo 1. Who was that? That was a couple cars just getting together and all skirtling off into the dirt.
Brugman trying to get down the inside of the first Lesmo through Ravio, but I don't... I mean, is he there beforehand? He is kind of, but no, it was never really going to work, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's
unfortunate.
Luckily,
Ravio lost a place, but I don't think Brugman did.
There we go. So, drama there down into Lesmo 1. As we've got Ragland, I think that is. Kenneth Ragland, he's stopped. I'm just trying to see where he is in the grand scheme of things.
Troton suspension damage is out.
Oh dear, so we've got a few replacements, as I think that may be Smith. Simon Smith off in the dust down at Ascari, but he's recovering back on track now. Our leaders continue to be. They're working a brilliant race here. It is Mackay from Brugman. They're just driving the perfect team race at this point, flying in formation and pulling a gap up to 6 seconds at this point. So they're working perfectly. Wannemuller, goodness me, Wannemuller has gone deep down into turn 1. I assume trying to challenge there for the final podium position from Raul. So he has recovered and remains in P4. Ben Zupenic for Team Proline is in P5. Zaranku in hot pursuit, however. And there's Rolankovic, race 1 winner in P7, keeping his nose clean and progressing nicely.
Yeah, so that was very weird. Raglan's had a latency lag issue, and I think he's tried to stop and pull over, but on the circuit he's not pulled over. And he's appeared, and Schroten has gone straight into the back of him, taken off his rear wing and rear left wheel. So that's Schroten and Ragland out. Also, I see Sandeep Chodra is out as well.
Zupenik running wide, not the first one we've seen here in the second race, running very wide there. Through Lesmo too, and that's Zaranku with all the opportunity he needs. These three now going to be fighting for P5. And here comes Jolankovic on the brakes, up the inside of Zupenik, space left. A little bit of curb nibbled there, but that's all within limits. And as these two now fight, Zaranku has a little bit of breathing room as they now run down towards Parabolica.
We're missing a few people, so Chodra and Brugman have both spun and kind of both out. They've retired, as has Hansko Mebius. So I missed what happened with him. We'll take a look.
Indeed. Unfortunately, a few names are recurring first to second races, either in bad luck or having a bit of contact. But there you go, that's the way these things go sometimes. And Zaranku there has got P5, and he's got a second, or half a second, I beg your pardon, breathing room between himself and Zupenik. Zupenik now going to have to really defend from Ulankovic for P6. Ulankovic already outside, making his move nice and early, but not close enough to make anything happen. But he has made Zupenik make a mistake. Look at that. Lock up of the brakes, and that's given Ulankovic another opportunity, as well as a whole gaggle of cars behind. So that one's not over. Zaranku getting by, I'd say, just at the right time. He can focus on bearing down on the cars ahead.
In the meantime, Jarrod van der Wild and Hansko Migidus have made their own mistakes and also both retired. So we're now up to already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars already out. And we still have 31 continuing.
There we go. We are on lap 9 of 13. 8 completed. 4 to go. If I can add up. Just keeping an eye on route. He's trying to bear down on our leading duo of Centurion drivers, but a little mistake there from him. He has got the gap down, interestingly, down to 5.3. So he did take a chunk of time out of our leading pair. I wonder if they're starting to fight each other as we're now getting towards the evening or the evening's conclusion of racing. Well, we'll keep an eye. It's been formation flying so far, and I'm sure they won't want to throw it all away. Wanamula, though, remains in P4 for Cosmo, and rounding out our top 5 now is Zaranku for triple 20.
Chupenik has just made a position against Antonio, and Jesper Nilsson is also looking at making a position against him. So that's Chupenik up to 6th. He's got the inside of Parabolica, but is Rankovic going to keep it around the outside? He is, but Nilsson's going to try and tuck underneath.
He is indeed, and he's not the best driver of any of them. He's going to be right in contention as they now run down towards turn 1. Ooh, as Zupenik's realised that, and he's come to close the door. Rankovic, though, has been given the racing line, and goodness me, got 3 cars all fighting for the same bit of time. Got loads of space, boys. Use all of it. As they now run down towards turn 1 into the braking zone, Rankovic, latest on the brakes, on the racing line, takes the sweeping line around the outside and takes P6. So a good bit of driving there. Zupenik down to P7, and Nilsson, our last remaining ice cold car, as Eric Strawn not with us. This is the second race. He is now running in P8. Good point scoring there for the Ice Cold team in the Constructors-wise Championship. Lewis McGlade, though, he's recovering. He's having a good drive here. He was P3 in our first race. He is P9 here currently for Kyle. So good haul of points for him so far this evening.
Just seeing what the battles are for the last points playing position. Oh, McLean! McLean's gone off. He's currently down in 16th, 17th position. That was a very odd one. I was just cutting to Adam Oscar, saying he was currently holding the last points position, with McLean kind of trying to get him down to turn 4. And I think he's braked slightly on the grass. Yes, he has. And luckily, held it just about all together. And he has lost position. So now it's Scott Beresford fighting Oscar for that last points position.
There we go.
And he's got it.
So pass done.
Beresford up to 15th. Although Oscar's got the inside as we go towards the scurry. Is he going to try and dive down and get it back? Yes, he is. Goes wide, though. So he should technically give that back. But he hasn't. So that'll be an interesting one for later.
Indeed so. Plenty of drama and action. And speaking of drama and action, I am now very closely keeping an eye as we're now on lap 11 of 13 on our leading duo, that being Mackay and Brugman. The gap now down to 2 tenths of a second between those two. It was around 3, 4, 5 tenths. The gap between them to Rout, who is in third, is now 5.5. So it's stayed steady as Scott Beresford has just retired. So why was that?
I shall have a look for you now. He's not got a front right, which is very odd. Oh, he's lost it. He's tried overtaking Oscar, who's kind of covered the position, going down towards Parabolica, and then just locked up and gone straight on into the barrier. Much like Mark Webber did all those years ago.
Well, there you go. So a mistake, and that is bye-bye to your suspension and well, tyre. So unfortunate there for Beresford after a good drive, but that is the way these things go sometimes. I'm sure he'll be back in 2 weeks' time for our next round. But before we get there, we've got a few more laps to finish off here to round out our European season. Rowout continues to be in P3, Brugman holds P2, and Mackay continues to lead. And it's fascinating, Brugman here, Niels Brugman, clearly stronger in the second sector, but Mackay just got enough to cover Brugman in the first and last sectors. So clearly Brugman got a bit of a car set up here for the second sector, arguably the slowest sector on the course, but not by much. Mackay working really well here in the faster. Mackay. Keep getting it wrong.
A few more retirements in the meantime. Saw Philip Koenig trying to dive down the inside Parabolica. Didn't work out for him. Also, Sven Dirks lost it at the exit of turn 2 and retired. Also, Niels Voss. I'm just trying to see what happened there. So bear with me a moment.
So while you're doing that, let's have a quick look at what's going on for P7. We've got Jesper Nielsen. He has just taken P7 from Ralankovic for Drake. And we've got 3 cars now, all in a row, going down towards turn 1. Nielsen late on the brake, sweeping round on the racing line and gets that one done. So that's 2 places in one straight, one corner. Lovely stuff there from the Auscol driver. He is up to P6 as Batala. What's happened to him? He's plummeting down the order there. Down through turn 1. He was fighting Niemanen, Mason and Fournier. 3 wide down, 4 wide down into turn 3. Fournier, yes. He was touched off the grass there. Batala gets the move done just about there on Mason, and Fournier rejoins and comes back where he was. So, goodness me, action there for
Has Mackay made a mistake? Because Brugman is right now on his back. It was a half a second the gap, and that's definitely not a half second gap. Yeah, 1/10 is now the gap.
Yep, that looks about right. That's been roughly what they've been doing. That's the difference. Mackay a little bit better there in the first and last sector, and Brugman just mighty in the middle. So they are formation flying. We're on lap 12 of 13. We'll have one more after this one. And, well, we'll have to wait and see. Do they start racing? They've got 5.5 seconds to play with to the car behind. I can't imagine a little scrapperoo.
Surely at this point, where your team is 1-2, you want to kind of hold position. I mean, yes, you have got these long straights where it is safe to overtake, but surely you don't want to risk anything now. The gap is 5 seconds, but that can soon fly away.
There we go. So, yeah, we've had a good point made by Cameron Extraordinaire. If they were fighting, they would be following each other in the tow. And Brugman is not doing that. So, obviously, a little lock up there down into turn 1 from Mackay, but he held on to that one. But yes, you never know. Maybe formation flying, and from team's perspective, that is exactly what you want. Maximum points for Centurion as it stands, as we're on the last lap of the race. Well, good driving from the both of them if that's what they're going to do. Play the team game, and with the Constructors' Championship situation, as tasty as it is, in the midfield, this could be a big swing for Centurion. So we'll see what happens. They're not home and dry yet. I believe I just saw a car go off at the Parabolica and retire. May be incorrect on that though, so keep an eye.
It may have been Riera actually. I'll have a look now for you.
Lovely stuff. So, as our leading duo are running through Lesmo 2 for the final time, Mackay, a little worse again. Just a little bit of traction. They're just not carrying the momentum well there through Lesmo 1 and 2, and Brugman just carrying it very well indeed.
Well spotted.
They run down towards Parabolica.
It was Riera. He was trying to take. He was on the outside of Morris. Morris on the inside locks up, and then Riera hits him and runs off. I'm afraid, and that's the end of his race. It was very unlucky. Morris just locked up, and then Riera turned into on him and bounced back.
Unlucky there, so close to the end. I'll say this much. 2 drivers have driven a textbook race, and their team, I'm sure, are going to be very appreciative of it. Centurion Grand Prix, Tom Mackay and Niels Brugman come home to take P1 and P2 in the second race this evening. Maximum points for Centurion Grand Prix. They drove a superb drive. They kept their noses clean. They made their way through the traffic, and they have taken a hatful of points for themselves and their team. Stefan Raut for Deltec Racing Team has come home in P3 for them. Rounding
a
out
photo
our podium.
finish for Rob Mason and Harry Niedemann. 0.03 of a second between those two. So that was a close one to call. Yeah,
that was down in towards the lower end of the point scorers. But let's just run quickly through our final point scorers. Wanamiller for Cosmo came home in P4. Zaranku for Triple 20 finished in P5, with Ben Zupanek for Team Proline coming home in P6. Jesper Nielsen for Ice Cold came home in P7 at the end, and he was followed by Lewis Brigade in P8. Antonio Lurankovic, he was up with the likes of Zuranku and Nielsen. He came home in P9, so A few moves made there towards the end with Ravio for Zedric coming home in P10. Rob Mason for Epic came home P11 with Niemanen for Kyler rounding out, coming home in P12. Batala for Viking came home in P13. Fournier for Racing Team Schroten came home in P14. Rounding out our point scorers, it is John McLean for Bastavik Grand Prix. So yes, very close finish there towards the end of the point scorers, but an imperious drive from Mackay, from Brugman, brilliant teamwork, and at just the right time, perfect opportunity to start making a run. There's still plenty of time to make a real indent here on the Constructors' Championship Challenge.
It is, and yeah, like I said, maximum points. It's interesting just trying to work out how many places the pair of them made during that race. I can't at the moment, but I don't remember Mackay, I think, started about third.
He was a fair way down the order. I'd have to go and check. But he's had a cracking drive because he was, I want to say, around P7 in the first race. So he's definitely come through from, I want to say, at least 10 to 15 or that area there. So he's had a great drive. And that was it within the first lap. He was up dicing.
He actually, I've just looked at it now. So Mackay started 10th, and within that second lap was already in the lead. Brugman, his teammate, started 6th and was up to 3rd and then up to 2nd. So, yeah, there's some decent starts from those two guys that have paid off.
Absolutely. And, of course, a little bit of drama down into turn 1. We had a car on its roof, on its roll hoop, which we don't see very often in Formula Racing. But there you go. A little bit of everything this evening. Drivers making their way back to the pits now on completion of the race. And I think everyone just taking stock of what's been two very hectic races here from the Autodrome Nationale Monza. Always a high-speed track, always slipstreaming, a massive factor, and always it's the small mistakes which get you. And we've seen cars going off because they've missed their braking points, because they've just missed that apex from a little bit. They've flipped, they've rolled, they've gone wide, and it's cost them places.
Yes, and I'm just kind of looking at the Twitter and social side at the moment, and a certain person who has gained his first podium tonight has joined us in the commentary box, Mr. Lewis McGlade.
Hello.
Yes, good evening, sir. Congratulations on a great pair of races. Obviously, top 10 finishes and both there for you. And a wise drive in the first race. I think you saw that there was quite the scrap going on for the lead, and I think you were just waiting for something to happen, and it did.
Yeah, it was actually really, really similar to the drive I did 12 months ago when I got the 4th. It was kind of, you're seeing all this fight going on up in front, and I don't want to be a part of it. You know, let them go at it however they want. I still had my fight with Mackay and a couple of others, but it was more just about keeping to myself and just kind of being very careful, because the last few rounds of Formula Challenge really haven't gone my way. I had Hungary, which was all right, had a double retirement in Spa, and before that, you know, the season's been, I've been scoring points in only one of the races and doing something stupid in the other. So, you know, to come here at a track where I know I was pretty quick last year, but I didn't really want to pour the pressure on myself for this season, you know, to come here and get my first podium in a race 1 and another top 10 in race 2 is a great result to move into the latter part of the season.
Yeah, it looks like you've moved forward rather well, especially in race 2. They kind of, you know, you'd got your podium and it started 14th, I think, for the second race, and kind of made up to 8th. So yeah, nice battles during race 2.
There was an incident at turn 1 where someone was upside down, a Scuderia Basilia. Don't know who it was. I think it might have been Cabrera, but completely upside down. And basically, as everyone was stacking up whilst this was happening, I got some damage on the rear diffuser around the front left suspension, which does kind of hurt your top speed. Not like too much in the draft; it's okay. But as soon as I pulled out of the draft, it was just like, all right, see ya, I can't overtake. And the brakes on my car weren't really good enough. I didn't have them quite sorted. You know, I wasn't confident enough. I haven't done enough practice really. But I wasn't confident enough on the brakes. So overtaking was a little bit difficult. Also with the nature of this track where it's kind of, it's fairly simplistic is Monza. And when it comes to like the field split, there's not really that much, so you kind of ending up battling with the same people in race 1, as it was in both races. You kind of end up battling with the same people, so it's like you battling with fast people either way, and it's like it's kind of hard to make progress.
Fair enough. But, well, I mean, it's one of those tracks where it's a little mistake. You're right. It's not exactly. There's not much to it. You've got a couple corners here. You've got a couple corners there. But you've got to get your fundamentals right. And well, you got your fundamentals right today because not only did you read the race well, but you made moves which stuck. And well, that's done a great service, obviously, in point scoring for you and the team. Mentioned we're unfortunately heading towards the end of our championship here. Our next round, of course, will be from Singapore, the streets of Singapore, streets of the Principality. A very different challenge to Monza. Is it one that you're looking forward to?
It's I don't know. I mean, I kind of was looking forward to it at the start of the season, but the more the season's gone on, and I feel personally that I've dropped off quite a long way in these cars. To the previous season, where at this point of the year I'd stepped it up and was fighting in the top 5 quite a few times, and had a podium towards the end of the year in race 2 at Abu Dhabi. But coming into Singapore, I don't know if it's a track I'm strong at because I've never raced there before. Obviously driven it in like the Codemaster F1 games, but never raced it in R Factor. I don't really know what my pace is going to be like. I will say the longer laps tend to suit me more based on like stuff that's happened in ITC. The longer the lap, the more comfortable I am in qualifying. But well, except Spa when I really messed it up. But look, I'm kind of looking forward to it, but I'm a little bit, tentative.
Fair enough. I don't blame you. Singapore is not one of my favourites, so well,
I love it.
Well, there you are. Horses for courses, apples and oranges. There we are. Anyway, Lewis, thank you very much for the time. Congratulations again on a great set of results there. Thank you for joining us in the interview, and we wish you luck for 2 weeks' time.
So?
Right, and with that, we are coming to the end of the broadcast. As by the looks of it, no one else wants to come and say hello, which is a real shame. Phil, quite an evening's worth of racing, plenty of action to be seen. Not all what we want to see as well, with the contact and whatnot, but still a good pair of races there.
It was a very decent pair of races, yeah. There was a bit of a kind of clumsy contact at the start of race 2, really hurting Cabrera there, going from first to last. I kind of really felt for him. Having said that, the right people took their opportunities. We look at Mackay and Brugman, and they just kind of went for it, and reaping the rewards.
Absolutely, and of course our silent partner in all this, working the cameras extraordinarily as always, is Mr. Cameron Brewster. Cam, how did that look to you, sir?
Another good evening, and it was great to see the Centurion guys get a 1-2. Great to see Mackay get the win, and it was interesting seeing how certain people played out in those races, like Lewis, for example, where he didn't go on the all-out attack and ended up reaping the rewards. And during the gap between the 2 races, interesting seeing a few of the guys mentioning the incidents sort of towards the end of the first race. And it's, as I said to them in the lobby, with the quality of racing you're getting and how hard these guys battle and how close they are at the speeds they're travelling, it's almost inevitable that there's going to be some sort of accident. And when it happens, it's going to be big. Somebody is going to go off and somebody's going to lose a front wing or a wheel or something. But that's just the nature of the heated battle that is Formula Challenge, I guess.
It's also going to be interesting at the next race, Singapore, where we don't have any runoff. You if you get hit, you are likely to hit the wall, go through to the other side, kind of go across the racing line, hit the other side, and kind of hit the other side again and again. So that's going to be a fun one, and it's still high speed, and it's going to be also how you set up the car. High downforce for the corners or low downforce for the few straights you've got.
Indeed, so it's
hold on a second, guys, before you go off. We're going to get our race winner from race 2 to come in and say hello.
Oh, excellent. Good stuff. I did see that they had popped in, and, well, pleased to say that joining us is Tom Mackay. And also we might have a chance to chat to our race 1 winner as well, as I see he's now in the waiting for interview. But anyway, Tom, congratulations, sir, on a sterling race from yourself and Niels Brugman. A perfect team race. You took your opportunity and you drove a sterling drive. So congratulations. Talk us through your race. So Tom's got no mic, so we're going to have to do this radio style, which is fine.
Well, meanwhile, we should probably pull in Antonio instead and have a chat to him while we get a bit of a response from Mackay. So take it away, Chugwin.
Thank you very much. So, Antonio, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on a super win there in race 1. Feisty, you had to work for that one. some nice moves made from yourself, and in what was a busy race. So congratulations on a great win. Talk us through it.
Thank you very much. Well, start was good. We were fighting. Fighting was very nice. There was a big moment, I think, going to Parabolica. I don't know exactly what happened there, but I will have to look through it. And after that, it was just me and Eric, and a lot of fighting. It was very nice race. I liked it a lot.
It was great to watch as well. Constant scrap the whole way through. 2 weeks' time, we're coming to a very different track. I was just talking to Lewis about it just a second ago when we were interviewing him. In the form of Singapore, a very different challenge to what we have seen tonight. How are you going to approach that? Is it a challenge that you are looking forward to?
Yes, I like street circuits a lot, so I think it will be great in Singapore. I think it's important to set up the car well and stuff, but I think we'll do pretty good. I'm looking forward to it. Nice challenge.
Excellent stuff, excellent stuff. So thank you very much for joining us. Unfortunately, we don't have too much more time on the broadcast, but congratulations again on a great set of results. Only can recall seeing your name popping up since Spa, but you've had some great racing. So lovely stuff. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time out in Singapore.
Thank you very much.
So meanwhile, so I've been chatting away to Tom Mackay. So I asked him first how he found himself going up from 10th to 1st, and as he put it, he was going just on his own down to turn 1, had a good start, and then the Red Sea just parted, and everyone fell off the track. So he wasn't really even trying for the attacking kind of attempt, and just kind of went for it, and it paid off. The slight inconvenience of his teammate lagging and disappearing. And that was him in P1. So obviously his teammate had a bit of an issue. And from there on in, it looks like they just went with it.
Fair enough. So unfortunately, obviously not able to have a chat is a little bit of an interesting one. But there we go. I will say again, it was a brilliant drive from a team's perspective, because that is exactly what you want, especially at this end of the business end of the season. You know, every point matters, and a great point score, perfect score from the team, and that's the joy of race 2. You can always get these little scenarios and situations playing out, and well, they absolutely capitalised on that. So congratulations to Tom. Thank you for joining us via text there for a little interview. So with that, I think we are actually heading towards the end of our time this evening. And yes, well, I'll call out all of the things here. We are, of course, available on the internet, as most things are, at gpvwc.com. Feel free to head over to the website, sign up. Lovely community here. Get involved. Plenty of racing to be had between now and the end of this year's season. And our next race, our next action will be tomorrow. It will be Super Cup from Monza. 2 races for you there, a sprint and a feature. And then on Thursday will be the conclusion of the Career Ladder's time in Europe for this year with Super League, a 70 or so, I believe it is, lap race round Monza. So plenty of action to be seen this week, and plenty of action to be had next week as well from the Independent Series. But with that being said, I'd like to thank Phil and Cam for joining us. Phil, any final thoughts?
Really looking forward to Singapore. As much as you guys do not enjoy it, I love it. So yeah, exciting times.
And always the opportunity for weather there as well. And Cam, thank you again for the camera work as usual. Any closing thoughts from you?
Just make sure that next week is just as entertaining, or next time is just as entertaining.
Yes, indeed. So a challenge for our drivers. And I will say thank you to all the drivers, all the team managers, the administration, our race director this evening, Chris, for all the hard work that they put in, making all this racing happen. And well, my thanks to you for joining us for 2 great races here from Monza. It ends our time in Europe for this year, but we are going on the flyaways again, and we're going to be heading to a lovely little principality called Singapore. With that, I thank you for joining us. I've been Matthew Churgwin. I'll see you next time out on the racetrack.